So a lot of times we don't celebrate the small wins, right? We complain
Okay.
about a lot of things, but usually in your life, things are being set up for you, right? It's those small wins, that things that are being fulfilled for you that you're not aware of, you're not paying attention to, right? You give no insight, or you don't celebrate that, right? So don't focus on like the bigger picture, right? Focus on the little wins that you have, the things that happen that are good, right? Um, and that would be the title of my book. Focus on what I might have to write a book about this. Focus. I might need to make this a real.
That right there is welcome
Focus.
back, everybody, to another episode of we're not going to call it Be Better Than You. We're going to call it now Be Better Than Yesterday at the suggestion of my social media manager, my daughter Kennedy, that you guys have heard about a couple of times already. She said that the Be Better Than You makes it maybe a little bit more competitive as opposed to Be Better Than Yesterday. And I like that because one of the things that I've been attempting to tell and share with them is just that improvement upon who you are on a day-to-day basis so that you fulfill your own self on a day-to-day basis, right? And so that 1% improvement is super important. And I do believe that our guest today, Miss Celeste Roberts, is somebody that probably falls in line with that philosophy as well. Celeste, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I am
Thanks for
so
having me.
good. So good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I know we've talked about this over the last couple of weeks, and I'm really happy to get it together here, with it today. So Celeste is somebody that I've known for a long time, right? All the way back to the University of Akron. We were there
Oh,
together
days.
back, yeah, quite a while ago. And then we, kind of separated paths and only recently come back together over the past couple of years through some mutual relationships and friends and so forth. So wonderful to connect with Celeste again. And Celeste wears many hats, right? Celeste is a God-fearing woman, as she said to me here just a little bit ago. She's a wife, she's a mom, and she's also a thriving and successful entrepreneur. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of those roles and the hats that you wear as a woman here in America in what feels like some tumultuous times right now. So, yeah,
Definitely.
does that sound all right?
It's great.
Fantastic, fantastic. Where would you like to start? Those are the hats that you wear. You tell me.
Well, let's start with faith.
Okay, okay, let's start with faith. Let's
Yeah.
start with faith. Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to start with faith and why faith is important to you.
So I think that faith for me sets the tone of everything else that I do in my life, right? And so I try to order, uh, I feel like God ordered my steps, right? And so I'm aligned with the role that He has and the purpose He has for me, right? And so I always start there because there is going to help me get to every other place that I'm trying to go, all right? Whether that's in a relationship, as a wife, as a mother, as an entrepreneur, as a business partner, as a board member, and you just continue to go on, right? So I try to bring my faith and my beliefs and let that guide every decision that I make, right? It's not that it's always perfect, but I'll go back and I'll reflect, and it's always going to take me back to my faith.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Now, did you grow up in the church or was that something that kind of evolved over your lifetime?
Well, I grew up in the church, but I
Okay.
didn't receive it that way. Like I didn't use it the way that I use it now, right? And maybe that's maturity, but I walk in faith like today. Like I walk in it. So sometimes my husband is like, "Man, why did you think you could do that?" Right? It's like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
I'm just doing the work what God told me I could do, right? And then I walk and I do that. So I think all the good things that have happened to me along the way
yeah,
and all of the bad things that have happened along the way, right? It's lessons and all of that. And I think as individuals or human beings, we're supposed to take that and then make ourselves better. Like it gets us closest to the purpose that God has put us on this earth for. So faith is important.
okay. I love that. So that's why. And I mentioned I went right to church, right? But I currently, I'm not in a church every Sunday either. and
Hmm.
yet spirit, that guide, that
Hmm.
faith, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily about a building, it's the
Yeah.
relationship, right?
Yes.
It's that following, it's that faith. So I love what you just said. And for those of you that are listening right now, man, you see how I just kind of defaulted to church, but it's the spirit. The
Yeah.
fellowship of
Yes. Yeah.
people is one thing, and the building is another thing. But
Right.
so spirit, faith, and following those inclinations. Let me
Mm.
ask you, are you somebody that have you ever just like heard the voice of God? How do you know how God is speaking to you?
I never heard like God say, like, Celeste, you need to do this, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But it is something that's in me that says, like, you need to move in this direction, right? And so I move in that direction. And I really believe like it is my job on this earth to do the work, right? It is God's goal to create the path, right? So my goal is just to do the work. So sometimes I go in a direction and it's not the right direction.
Okay.
To me, my mindset just says to me, that's not part of the plan. You need to come back, reconfigure, and then I'm off to do something else, right? My job is to just to do the work.
Gotcha.
And God is going to get me to where, if I believe that I'm here for a purpose, God has, the best intention and the plan for my life, then I have to move as if that is the case,
Okay.
right? That's kind of just how I see it.
And so you keep going and keep staying
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. You mentioned something about your husband
Mhm.
wondering and sometimes questioning that faith and you,
Yeah.
saying, man, well, how did you know? Let's talk
Right.
about that wife role for a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
Well, we met wow, so it's going to be 27 years. 27. I think we're at 12, 27 years of
Okay.
marriage come
Okay.
next month.
Okay.
We met when we graduated. We both graduated from college and returned back to Cleveland. So graduated from University of Akron. He graduated from um, Florida A&M University. And so we met through a common friend that we went to school with. We went to school with Mark. I
Okay.
can't think of Mark's name. Face. They called him Face. You remember him? He was a part of the Boots crew. Remember
Oh,
that?
yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay.
That's enough.
That's way, way
Yeah.
back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right.
We met at his wedding reception.
Okay.
And wow, that was probably like in 93, maybe 94.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't like him when I met him. I don't even
Okay.
know, but yeah, I did like him when I met him. But he's probably my biggest champion, my best supporter, the person that's going to keep it real, but he's going to, like when you can say like somebody's going to be there for you,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
hands down, like we are ride or die,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So,
That's good. But I can't leave that. I didn't like him at first. Just
oh no, yeah,
out
I didn't
there.
like him at first.
What was up with that?
I don't know, like I'm such I thought initially he was too flashy for me,
Okay.
right? So I was like, he's too flashy.
Okay.
And my flashy could is relevant to somebody else's. Who knows,
It's
right?
all
But
good. Yeah.
I saw him another time, and then I was like, oh, okay. We had a great conversation and everything. I mean, we had a good time at the wedding reception, but I just thought he wasn't like right for me,
Okay.
right? But he wound up being that person. So I'm glad that he didn't give up when I said no. I don't want to talk to you or
Okay.
pursue
Okay.
anything.
So he
But he
pursued
pursued
you.
me. Right. Right.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's good. Now you made me think of something that I had written down here, but I kind of skipped over it. So you said he wasn't right for you. You thought he was too flashy. I remember all the way back in our college days, Celeste, that a lot of people thought Celeste was gorgeous, but just mean as all get out. Uh, and so
Yeah.
knowing and having, some interaction with, okay, I'll let you catch your breath.
Yeah, true.
That seriousness and taking care of business. This is where I'm going with it, right? How does that or the way that people viewed you and the
Hmm.
seriousness with what you were doing and you were on a mission and focused even back then. How
Yeah,
has that played into life in general, right?
yeah,
Don't jump to the entrepreneurship just
yeah.
yet, but how has that played into the happiness, success, and the person that you've become?
You know what? What I realize is that my personality, I am a very focused person.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to want to I have taken so many different assessments. You have like the DISC assessment, personality assessment, 360, all these different assessments, Myers-Briggs, right? And someone exposed me to that when I was right out of college. And it probably was the best thing for me because what it allowed me to see is how people saw me, right? And so I've worked on the weakness that the assessments have kind of brought out, right?
Okay.
And one of those things, I'll give you a great example, is people perceive me as being, like you just said, mean, right? Or not caring, right? It's just that those things don't come to me first. Like some people are people person.
Mhm.
How do I say that? People, I don't know if to say that. You are a creative being. You love to talk to people.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
That don't come first for me.
Okay, okay.
That's second. That's like down the line. Like I am like, what is the problem, the task? What are we trying to accomplish?
So
Right?
you high red, high blue?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. High
Yeah.
red, high blue, real domineering type of
Well, I wouldn't even say that because sometimes people would say that, right?
okay.
But I have ran from being a leader. Like I just didn't want it. Like in my friendships and my business, I'm always trying to like I don't do it anymore, but I used to like just try to sit in the back, right? Like just move through life. But in actuality, this is where I find my joy. So I really had to be comfortable with who I am,
Mm,
right? And the qualities that I have is good for my position of where I'm at, right? And so when I go back and I reflect on, well, like why do people have different personalities, right? Different skill sets. It's all for your individual purpose, right? My purpose is different from your purpose, but what I need for God's plan for my life requires me to be this way, right? But it doesn't mean that I cannot work on the things that people might perceive as being different or a challenge, right? So, like one simple thing early on, I just learned to smile, right? So I didn't when you met me in college, I probably wasn't smiling a lot. So
I'm
people were like,
sure you.
me, she's so right. But it was nothing wrong with me. I wasn't upset. I just didn't smile. So then I didn't open myself up for people to receive me in a positive way. Right. So over my career, those are the things that I worked on so that just smiling helps people to relax. Right. It allows us to engage better, right?
Yeah,
Versus
yeah,
me
yeah,
just being there. All
yeah,
right. And so it's I've worked on these things.
yeah.
I've worked on having a personality, right? And trying to live like outside of where I'm most comfortable,
Okay.
right? Most comfortable just in the room. People don't think I'm an introvert, but I really am an introvert,
Mhm, mhm.
right? And
Yeah, and
so
I think it was John Maxwell that is credited with a saying that says something about everything that you want is beyond your comfort zone,
yeah,
right? In
right.
order to set
Of
those
course.
goals. And that takes
Right.
introspection. So I respect, what
Yeah.
you've done as a bigger guy myself, right? As a black man in America, that smiling helps to kind of
Right.
de-escalate people right off the
Yeah.
bat when they want to come at you with defensiveness and so
Right.
forth. So you being introspective and actually taking the feedback from not only those assessments and possibly even the people around you, right? And making those adjustments and changes and yet still being authentic to you. That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Thank
So,
you.
all right. So back to the Kenny thing. We'll maybe
Mm-hmm.
come back to Faith because you mentioned that a couple times. So you guys are both business owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
He pursued you. You guys fell for each other. You're a mom, which we'll come to. How do you balance, right? That being a wife, right? What would you say, I guess, is your mission and how you're following God as a wife in that particular role?
Yeah, you know, when we first got married, I thought that marriage was 50-50, right? Like you go into it like it's 50-50, right? And then I'm like an independent person as well. So I'm thinking, you know, some of these things you could do yourself, right? Like I can do some stuff myself. You could do it was the mindset that I had initially coming into it, which is just not totally the right the right mindset that I had coming into my marriage. But what I've learned over the years is that it's amazing to have a partner where you could rely on, talk about anything, have a disagreement and agree to disagree, right? Respect each other to the utmost. And for him to be my biggest champion and then for me to be his, right? So when I think about um, when, and it, I'm always going to come back to like my faith, which I feel like I must say this a lot, but it's God, then it's my husband, and
Yeah.
then it's my daughter, and then it's everything else, right? And so I have to continuously work at it. It's not easy. Like I don't think any relationship is an easy relationship. You have to work at it. I'm sure I get on his nerves at times as he gets on my nerve, but at the core, we love each other, and we want the very best for each other in our careers. When I think about like the role that I play now, I wouldn't even have that because of being an entrepreneur, because he was the one that said, Celeste, you can do it. You should do this. I was like, no, I've never worked for, you know, I've always worked for somebody. And that to me, that's like comfort level. And he was like, no, you should really step out on faith
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you really need to just try it, right? If it doesn't work out, you can always go back and you could, you know, get a job. Right. And so he just made it make sense. But he was the one that pushed me. I didn't pursue entrepreneurship. He was the one. So like to have someone that is forward thinking, um, I love it. Like we could talk about anything. I love all of that. So to find somebody that you're compatible with and that again, this wants the best for you as you want the best for him.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So he helped spark that that fire of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
How are you guys? You said something about champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are each other's biggest champion. Um, how do you guys champion one another as opposed to, hey, honey, you can do it. Hey, honey, you're okay, right? Is there
Yeah.
something that,
Well, Well, I mean, so when I first started off, like understanding men, like he helped me to understand when I go into a room for
mm,
business and I'm the only woman in the room and there's 5 men around me. How do I feel comfortable in that room? How do like giving me the male perspective, right?
okay,
And then helping me through that, right? So helping me to grow and to be comfortable in places. I think about like the facility. This probably for both of us, we had the opportunity to work together, right? And so to me, like that's the sweetest thing about like our whole relationship, and we have enough respect for each other to work together on a project that's going to change kids' lives, right? And so he sees the challenges that I go through in my business and he supports me and we talk through it, and the same with his, that he feels um, comfortable, confident in hearing my side of the story. And our points of views could be different on different things, but that helps us to get to what's right. Right. And so he can count on me to tell him the truth, and I can count on him to tell me the truth. And
okay,
that's going to help both of us be better.
okay, okay. Now on social media, I see a lot of several of people that talk about uh, couples meetings and having a household,
Mm-hmm.
a board meeting. Do you guys do anything like that where you meet on a regular basis? Do you have dinner together at the table multiple
Oh, yeah.
times a week or something like that? How do
Yeah.
you guys, I guess, formulate to make sure that you stay connected and communicate?
Early on in our marriage, especially like with our daughter, we having dinner or breakfast or lunch, just being at the table together. has always been important because that's part of the tradition of our families, right? And so we've been able to hold on to that. And that's important for us to come and have those conversations. But for, I mean, I probably talk to my husband at least 2 or 3 times a day, right? And that's just, hey, how you doing? How your day going? Same for him, right? And that's really just to support us, is to stay connected. And that's something that developed for us. So there's really not like a time. We go out, we spend time with each other. This is probably going to sound weird, but we like to spend time away from each other, right? I go and have a vacation with my girls. He go and have a vacation with his boys,
Okay.
right? And we're both okay with that. And that has worked for us. Um, and so yeah, I mean it's an everyday thing. So it's not like I talk to you in the morning, I don't talk to you again until we get home. No, I talk to you throughout the day.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice. So that constant communication, and
Mhm.
even though you guys have that real strong bonded relationship, you're still strong individually as well.
Correct.
So 1 plus 1 does not just equal 2 when it's working the way that it's supposed to work.
Right. Right.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
And in y'all's case, man, one
I'm gonna
plus
I'm
one
gonna
is
compound that too. I
what's that?
said I'm gonna compound the two and take it on out a little further, right? So I just feel like us together, you know, it's a weird thing because I think like my family, my mom and dad were divorced,
Okay.
right? And his mom and dad were together, right? But it is about us learning like what's right for us based upon our values, our experiences in life, and just the sheer respect for another human being, right? Like there's no one else on earth that's left here on this earth that is going to love me more than Kenny loves me, right? And supports me in that way. And so, I'm gonna say I'm lucky. I'm gonna say
Okay.
he
Okay.
lucky. I'm gonna say he
Okay.
lucky.
Hey, Kenny, you hear this, right? You hear this when so 1 plus 1 is more than 2.
More
However,
than
all
two.
right, let's transfer to mom. One
Uh-huh.
plus one created a
Yeah.
beautiful daughter, right? Let's
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
that in the mom hat, right?
Yeah. So, it's an interesting thing because I've always wanted to have children, and I was challenged in having children. And I Kennedy is my miracle child. So she's the child that they said would not happen. And my daughter name is Kennedy, and your daughter name is Kennedy. I was just finding out, right? But she's my blessing. And when I go back to my faith, when people say things cannot happen, like this is my miracle baby. And so very happy. I only have one. Always wanted to have probably like three. My mom had like 3 kids. So I do think I'm gonna have
Okay,
three
okay,
kids. And
okay.
the wife and that what God gave me one, and I'm very happy with this one with this one. And my goal for her, because it was a commitment that I had made when the doctor said that you will not be able to have children. I just simply I had to let it go because it was driving me crazy. But I just simply said, if you give me the opportunity to have a child, this child will know you. Right. And that's
Mm,
been like my biggest thing for my daughter. When as soon as she was able to go to school, she went to a Christian school
okay.
so that I could get her to know like who God was, right? And I'm always telling her like you were created for a purpose, right? You came here. God didn't give you to us just because, right?
Right,
So you
right,
came here
right.
for a purpose, and just trying to pour into her every day, right? Just to be the person that God created you to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And wow, I didn't know that, there were challenges and so forth there.
Yeah.
So, um, without going into any detail, how would you encourage, if you maybe have already done so throughout life, how would you encourage somebody having those challenges of conceiving and they want to have children? What helped you along the way, in addition to faith? Were there some other things
Right.
that
I mean, I had to leave it out on faith because it was driving me crazy. Like it
okay.
really was. It's like it's something that you want, but you cannot have. Right. And this constant bad news, bad news, bad news. Like, what do you do with that? Right. And I just said, well, I'm just gonna have to let it be because I'm really driving myself crazy and I'm driving Kenny crazy. on top of that. But, at the end of the day, I always say what God has for you, he has for you. Right. And if it's meant for it to be, it will be. And
Yeah.
I just had to leave it there and move on with my life. And well, I ended up getting pregnant. Right. And I had a healthy baby girl, because then even the challenge with that is like you wouldn't be able to make it to the end of your pregnancy. She might have Down syndrome, like they run down the list of all
Mhm,
things, right?
mhm, mhm.
What I've learned out of that experience is that it is the doctor's job to say these things to you, right? But that doesn't mean that I'm aware of it, but I serve God.
Right.
So I've always put it in perspective, and I think it's your mindset. So the things that have gotten me past or through things is the way that I choose to look at the situation,
Okay.
right? And so when there's nothing that you can do with it, there's no need for you to dwell on it anymore. You just have to get past it and turn it over. And if it's meant to be, it will happen. And that's just, that was my experience.
Okay. Nice,
Yeah.
nice, nice. And again, she is here. She's doing her thing. She obviously knows the Lord. She's working with you still in at the skill
Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's working
Okay.
with us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does she play into what's her role and how is she playing into the mission at the skill center?
Yeah, so she's a youth development specialist at the
Okay.
Skills Center. And a youth development specialist is an individual that work with young people around implementing programs, but also just supporting young people along the journey of having on-time grade promotion, helping them to get to graduation, right? And so
Yeah.
Kennedy grew up in the Skills Center. So it's such a beautiful thing to see her come into a space that as a kid she was in. She left, she went to college, and now she's back, and she's back working. But it's like when you tell kids something and you think they didn't hear you, and now everything is coming back,
Yeah.
right? And I one day she said, "Ma, they don't. This one person, they don't know about the skills, and like they don't know how what we do." And I was like, "Oh, really?" This is a person that works for us, and I was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah, because we don't do it that way. I had to show them like how to do." Proud mom at the moment, because you don't
Okay.
think a child is listening to you.
Okay.
Um, but she helps out, even though this is like a non-for-profit. To me, I see Kennedy almost like an individual that is learning every aspect of the business,
Yeah.
right? So, and then she sees it. And what I love about her being here is that she will look at something from a different perspective, because she kind of knows and been around the skill center for such a very long time,
Okay.
right? And so that has been a blessing. And it's great to have her working with us until she figure out like what's the next step for her in
Yeah.
grad school. But it's
And her to
nice to
follow that
see.
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see her being here. The kids love her, you know. But she knows what we're trying to accomplish here, right?
Okay.
Because she grew up in the space in which helping her to accomplish her goals.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. So I made a leap and started talking about the skills center. So as we kind of, are rounding third to come home,
Uh-huh.
let's talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, the skills center is Celeste and her partner. She can give you all of the details about it, but it is a fantastic facility. I was there a couple of years ago for the actual inauguration of the place, the opening of it. They had a fantastic gala to open up their huge facility, which I think was valued at that time like $5 million. So who we're talking to right now is a powerhouse. Let's talk about the skill set. I don't remember you being an athlete. I don't remember any tie into that nature. So tell us about the skill center one
Right.
and the inception of the idea and let's go with that.
All right. So the skills center really is it's my baby. Let me just say, like, this is the baby that
Okay.
it's my second child. This is my second child. But the skills center really is it's a place where we're trying to give, it's predominantly African American or youth of color, the opportunity to acquire the skills they need to be successful. Right. And so what does that mean? Right. So we are really trying to address barriers that prevent our kids from being successful. How do we give them the essential skills that they need to, to be on that journey? And then how do we set them up for success in the terms of putting them on a career pathway that will make sure that they make above a livable wage, right? So how do we get kids to college, full-time employment, vocational training, military? How do we allow them to achieve the American dream? Like
Mhm.
if I had to sum it up, right? Now we do it in a facet of different ways. We are a sports-based youth development organization. So we use the power of sports to create change um, around that. So helping our kids to attain leadership skills, life skills. They have to be thriving in school. Like that's our vision for our kids, right? If you're thriving in school, you have a healthy body, healthy mind, and then you're ready for work. I've been doing this work for about 30 years now. And inside of the Skills Center, we have four other non-for-profits that we're working with. And I think we're stronger together, right? We could be more effective to leverage our expertise, our resources, right? And so it's a different way to work. So the Skills Center is more than just a place for kids to come. It really is, how can we show excellence in everything that we do, right? And then how can we bring to our community the very best, right? So usually we have, depending on where you go, there might be something and it's not like top of the line. No, we need the best. What is the best?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish here at the Skill Center. But ultimately, we want our kids to be on the track that, career pathway track, and for them to have the skills, opportunity, and exposure they need to be the very best at whatever it is they want to accomplish for themselves.
Nice. 30 years. Wow, I didn't realize that you guys have been, in this work for 30 years.
I've
Um,
been I've been in now for profit for 30 years, Skill Center for 18.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Tell us just about a couple of the programs that you guys have there that helps to develop and put kids on, the path of making and getting to that American dream.
Right. So inside of our facility, so it's a 55,000 square feet facility. And just share some of the things that's inside of the facility. We have a skills lab. Inside that skills lab, we are teaching kids coding, robotics, esports, virtual reality, AI, 3D printing, right? It's all the STEM careers, right?
Yeah.
Kids come in and use it for they think they're playing. We're teaching you the careers behind those things so that it could lead to an opportunity for you. We have
Okay.
an academic cafe. We focus on all things academic. So supporting you with homework assistance, tutoring, whether it's in person, we also use virtual. But what is it that we need to do to make sure that you are promoted on time? Right. So that's important for us. Inside the space also is two workforce rooms. It's just training rooms for us. We have a healthy hub inside of it. We have 3 basketball courts. We have a multi-sport space. Um, I think that's it. And then we have office space inside of our facility as well. So all the organizations have their own separate office unit. The great thing about the building as well is that it is sustaining the non-for-profits that's within it, right? So now most of us are all of us are African American led, but only one of us actually owned a facility. And so now we are all sustained within this space. So that is big for a non-for-profit. You don't have to worry about like where you're going to go. We're bartering, we're renting, leasing spaces. No, we're here,
Yeah.
right? And it's just a game changer as to the way that we think about how we position ourselves as a organization, um, as we work to, um, increase or make an impact on the community in which we are in. We're in a predominantly African American community. So it's amazing. It's an amazing time for the skill set and the work that we do.
So proud of you. So proud of you. When I was down there for the gala, it was just touching. Okay, so as it relates to the Skill Center and your long influential career with youth and doing the things that you've done, maybe share with us a success story. I've seen profiles of different people on the website as well as on your social media that something that was impactful for you that you'd like to share.
Yeah, so when I think about the many opportunities that I've had to work with kids over my career, um, what have driven me for today, like to do the work that I do today, was a group of kids, I'm going to say back in 2000 here in Tampa. They are, one of them is a doctor, one of them is a
All
business
right.
owner.
Okay. Okay.
I get the opportunity to see them as husband, wives, as parents. They come from a neighborhood that says that nothing good comes from the neighborhood, right?
Mm,
And I do the work I do today with the Skill Center simply because I've had the opportunity to see them as children and then now as adults. And they're in their 30, late 30s. They're in their late 30s, right? But they're thriving, like they own homes, they travel around the world, their kids have passports, right? That is what
yeah.
motivated me to start to build this building, right? And to take it all the way to the career pathway, because we can get kids out of poverty. And
Mhm.
my biggest, I'm going to say, like, we've had many kids that we've helped to go to college, go to the NBA, do some amazing things. But this particular group of kids, that when I could see them get out of poverty, like we have to do more of that work. And that's really, when I think about the 30 years, that's the group that really is like, you need to do more, right? You
Okay.
got to
Okay.
replicate what they experienced back then in the early 2000s. And how do you bring that into today to make sure that young people, Black children, have the opportunity, and Hispanic have the opportunity to be successful and to get out of poverty? So that's why I wake up every day. That's my why.
Love
Yeah.
it, love it, love it, love it. What you said about a neighborhood where nothing good comes out of the neighborhood, man, I absolutely love that because exposure changes expectations, right?
Most definitely.
Is one of my buddies. He says that all the time. My thing is the world is bigger than your backyard,
Most
right?
definitely.
And so we only are exposed to what we see around us and
Mm-hmm.
or on television, and then that television world that's all fake and so forth, which is part of why we're doing this series. And again, I thank you.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is bringing hope closer to the heart, letting people know that no matter where you are in life, you can do something that changes your life and then impacts other people. So
Yeah.
I, absolutely love and respect what you've been doing over the past 30 years and that fire that was started back in the early 2000s that has led to the Skills Center.
Mhm.
Tell us where you are. You mentioned Tampa
Yeah.
and how people can either get involved and or donate to the Skills Center.
Yeah. So we're in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
Um, you can donate through our website at theskillcenter.org.
Okay. And I'll put that link in the description down at the bottom of the video so people will have some more information around that.
Yeah.
Do you accept volunteers or how
We
does someone get
do.
involved?
Yeah, so you can get involved in so many different ways. So, one of the things in the path of trying to change a person's life and give them exposure is putting positive people in front of them. Like, so nobody's life is easy. And we need to be able to show that to young people that there's a path to success for everyone and it might look different, right? So our goal, so that's one way you can volunteer. Just come into the Skill Center, tell your story, like share who you are, right? And
Yeah,
what
yeah.
was your path to get to where you are? And what were the challenges too? Because I think our kids need to hear that. What did you overcome in order to make it to where you are today? Right. So, but we also have academic tutors. You can come in. One of the things that we're doing is allowing people to share their talent with our kids. And
Okay.
so if you have a talent, you can come in, you can share that with our kids. So whether or not you are a wealth management person, you understand, or you're an investor and you understand the stocks, how can you break it down and show that and tell that and teach that to our kids, right? You can come in and just share, lend your skill set to our kids, right? So not only talk about your own path, but break it down so there's something that our kids don't necessarily have access to, and that financial empowerment is one of the ways. Of course, we have board members, we have coaches. So all our coaches are volunteers as well. We also have like leadership coaches, and that's really teaching our kids about leadership, civic engagement, and community service as well. Yeah. So a variety of different ways. I always feel like everyone has something that they can lend to a child, right? On behalf of a child. It doesn't have to be a lot. right? The money is always good, but it's not always about money to help us to get our kid to that next level. Sometimes it's just about them meeting a person that changes their lives or sparks something within them. And then now they're off on that path because maybe they never knew that that was an option.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
And I hope that we'll close up on that part right there, Celeste, because I hope that, again, what we're doing here with Be Better Than Yesterday is bringing hope closer to the heart. And so Celeste is somebody that, I'm proud to know. I'm very proud of the things that she's been able to do over her career. And for those of you looking at this from a female perspective, look, right? For those of you that may be looking at it from a Black female perspective or a Black and brown female perspective, there's your success story right there. So thank you so much for being here. Let me close with this, right? They say that everybody has a book inside of them or a motto maybe that you live by. So if you would share maybe a motto that you live by, if you do, and or, right? What would be to this point, and there's many more chapters to go, but what would be the title of Celeste's life book?
So I'm going to go, well, I'm going to say focus on what's being fulfilled.
Focus on what's
What's
being
being
fulfilled.
fulfilled. Right.
All right, I've read and heard a lot of quotes. I don't think I'll have to write this down when I'm focus on what's being fulfilled.
Right. So a
What
lot
does
of
that mean? I mean,
yeah.
I
So a lot of times we don't celebrate the small wins, right? We complain
okay.
about a lot of things, but usually in your life, things are being set up for you, right? It's those small wins that things that are being fulfilled for you that you're not aware of, you're not paying attention to, right? You give no insight or you don't celebrate that, right? So don't focus on like the bigger picture, right? Focus on the little wins that you have, the things that happen that are good, right? Um, and that would be the title of my book. Focus on what I might have to write a book about this. Focus. I might need to make this a real.
That right there is can I credit you with that or is that from somebody else?
No, let me tell you what. This is how it goes back to faith. When I was thinking about the skill center,
Okay.
um, it's something I've never done before. We raised $28 million, right? I didn't know how to, I'm not a fundraiser. I'm most comfortable writing grants, right? Than going out and asking people and figuring it out, right? But I heard a sermon um, from church at church, and the title was Focus on What's Being Fulfilled. That title has carried me through from when I had the first thought in 2020 about the skill center and how would I get there. I heard the sermon, and that sermon has carried me all the way through to us raising $28 million and building the building. All right. So for me, it just took me all the way through. I've kind of lived by that. That's what I'm trying to just focus on. All the other stuff, I don't focus on that. I'm just trying to focus on what's being fulfilled to get me to where I need to go. Right. And so that's that.
Celeste, thank you so much for taking some time to have this conversation with me. And that might become my new motto. I hope you don't mind if I steal that one. That's got
I
me
took
over
it from
here.
somebody too. So
Oh my gosh. And I will be passing it on for sure. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so
you.
much. You're a shining example of living your life and continuing to focus on what's being fulfilled. So again, this is being better than yesterday, where we're bringing hope closer to the heart. We love you guys. Thank you so much. And remember, you are enough.
Oh, thank you.